How's everybody feeling tonight? We got some blues fans in Rockland tonight, huh? I need your loving, I need your kissing too. I need your loving, I need your kissing too. If I met you, baby, I was sad and blue. Sad and blue. Early in the morning, before the break of day. Early in the morning, before the break of day. I hold you closer, let you get away. I hold you closer, let you get away. Never let you get away.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 of Musical Connections, and this time we head to Florida, USA to have a conversation with someone that I regard so highly. Sean Chambers is one of the most amazing guitarists I've ever come across, and not alone that, he's a really humble guy with a big heart, and it's such a pleasure to welcome you to the show. Sean, how are you?
Thank you so much, Gerry, for the great introduction. I'm doing really well, and it's good to see you and hear your voice again. And yeah, everything is going good. We're starting to play slowly but surely, some more shows, and hopefully we'll be seeing you sooner than later this year.
Well, that'll surely be good because, you know, I suppose we both hoped that would have happened last year, Sean, but COVID just kept pushing things back. But sure,
yeah, I know. It's been a mess the last couple of years.
It has. But look, we're hoping we're getting out of this mist and getting into some more clarity. Well, hopefully we are. But just to tell the viewers, you know, how did you get into this, Sean? What brought you into the music business, and when did you pick up that guitar?
Well, I knew I wanted to play from an early age, and I got my first guitar at age around 11 for Christmas from my parents. And my mom said, you know, we got you a guitar because that's what I asked for. And she said, we bought you four lessons. It's 30-minute lessons once a week for a month. So you got 4 lessons. And she said, you know, all I ask is that you do the lessons and don't quit, you know, and practice every night for 30 minutes to an hour. And then after you do the lessons, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. So she kind of held me to that. And I said, okay. So I did a few of the lessons, and they were teaching me not what I wanted to play. They were teaching me like Mary Rode Her Boat Ashore and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Stuff. You know, the proper way to hold the guitar, which didn't feel comfortable to me, you know. So they gave me homework to do, and I wasn't really enjoying the homework. My mom so I wouldn't play. My mom would say, I don't hear any music coming out of that bedroom. You better start practicing your guitar. So what I did is I just started messing around on my own to make noise so she could hear it, and then after about 2 or 3 weeks of that, I started catching on how to play by ear. I wasn't actually doing my homework I was supposed to be doing, but I was learning how to play by ear to like cassette tapes at the time. I would listen to a part of a cassette tape and stop it, learn it, rewind it. And so the lessons didn't do a lot for me, but that's kind of how I got started playing. And then at the time, as a young kid, I was into, you know, classic rock bands that all my friends were listening to back in those days. And then when I was about 14, I heard Red House by Jimi Hendrix. And I said, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to do right there. And so, you know, I got into Hendrix for a good couple years, and then I started getting into a lot of the Texas blues players, you know, Billy Gibbons and Johnny Winter, and of course Stevie Ray, Albert Collins, Freddie King, all those guys. The list goes on and on. And then I started learning about their influences, like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and Lightning Hopkins, and and that list also goes on. So I kind of backed my way into the blues, like that.
Yeah, and I suppose, we've talked about this before, Sean, but I think we couldn't leave out the fact that you actually were hugely influenced by Hubert Sumlin, and you would have played with Hubert and actually recorded an album in tribute to Hubert. So maybe you'd like to talk about that.
Yeah, well, I in 1998 I released my first solo album called Strong Temptation, and I got a manager named Steve Einzig from New York City, and we're still really close friends. And he started a small record label called Vestige Records and got some distribution and all that stuff happening. So he financed and released my first album, and he was managing me. So, and then shortly after that, he called me up and said, I just started managing Hubert Sumlin, and he needs a band for Blues Stock in Memphis, Tennessee. This was October 1998. And Blues Stock was a festival that took place on Beale Street, and all the different clubs down Beale Street, there would be 5 or 6 bands playing a night. And so everybody that went to the festival would have a schedule, an itinerary of which bands were playing at what club. We played at a place called the Black Diamond, which was right next to B.B. King's at the time. And Steve said just woodshed, learn what it could. Obviously, Hubert played for Howlin' Wolf for about 25 years, and Muddy Waters off and on. So he said, just learn whatever. Hubert said to learn whatever Wolf songs you want, put together the list. You're kind of like the band leader, he told me. So just put together a good set. Obviously, Hubert knows all the material already. So that's what we did. And the band and I woodshedded the songs for about 2 months. And then I had a set list ready to go. And we drove to Memphis, Tennessee, but we had about 5 gigs on the way. We made a short tour out of it. And so the afternoon that we arrived in Memphis, I don't think we played that night till about 10:30 or 11. We were one of the last, I think the last band to play. So at about 6 o'clock, I got into Memphis, and Steve said, "You want to go meet Hubert? He's staying at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis." And I said, "Yeah," but I was super nervous, didn't know what to expect, or we had never met before, much less played a gig together that we were getting ready to do, in a few hours. So he took me into his hotel room, and I met him. Hubert gave me a big smile and a hug, said, "So nice to meet you." And I said, "Oh, Mr. Sumlin, it's nice to meet you." And I said, I think he could sense I was a little bit nervous. And I said, "Here's the set list. I want to go over it with you to make sure everything's okay, and I don't make any mistakes." And he goes, "Partner," he goes, "just do me one favor." He goes, "Just let your hair down and have a good time tonight. Because if we mess up a few times, I'm not worried about it." He said, "Let's just go up there and have some fun." And from that moment on, he had a way of making you at ease, with people. And so when we took the stage, I was a little nervous too. But once we got into our set, for me, it was magical. I'm up there playing with Hubert Sumlin. It was unreal. And so the set went really good. We got a good response from the crowd. And then we were standing outside the club about probably 1 in the morning or so, something like that. And he goes, "Man, I want you guys to be my full-time group," And because he really never had a band before. He was always a sideman, And so, he told me we were his first legitimate, his own band, So he took us all over the world, including Ireland, and, Japan and England and the United States and Canada. And I kind of look at that as my college education in the blues, when I played with Hubert. And I miss him a lot. It was a great 4 years. I mean, I learned a lot. He was a great storyteller, told a bunch of great stories. He was just a super, super genuinely nice guy, but he just happened to be, one of the originators of blues music and a legend,
And tell me something, Sean, you then recently recorded a tribute to Hubert. How did that come about, or how did you collaborate, or who was involved with that project, Sean?
Well, I did back in around 2000. I was on one of his last albums, at least, called "About Them Shoes," and it was a tribute to Muddy Waters. And we recorded the album at American Showplay Studios in Dover, New Jersey. And Ben Elliott was the engineer, and there was a bunch of great guys on there, like Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, Levon Helm,
Right.
Bob Margolin, the list goes on. And so I was like, I just was lucky to be there. I felt like, you know. And so, anyways, that was the first time I had met Ben Elliott at American Showplace Music. Well, several years later, around 2016, my radio promotion person at the time, Rick Lusher, is friends with Ben Elliott, and said, I talked to Ben, and he remembers working with you, and he likes your music, and you should give him a call about doing an album with him. So in 2017, we did Trouble and Whiskey, which came out, did good for us. And then we did another one, Welcome to My Blues, which came out. And so Ben wanted, you know, our philosophy was to do a record about every year and a half or so. We don't want to wait too long, kind of keep the momentum going. And I said, well, I've got some ideas, you know, but I don't, you know, I need to start really working and doing my homework and putting the songs together. But I said, with that being said, I've always thought about doing a tribute to Hubert Sumlin, you know, so maybe we could do a few Hubert songs. And so I went up there, actually flew up there March 1st, 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And we were supposed to come to Europe on March 9th. So we were in the studio March 1st through March 7th. And we got the recording done. And around March 6th, we figured out our European tour was canceled due to COVID. So we flew back home on the morning of the 8th. And Ben sent me, mixed the record up in Jersey after I had left, and mastered the record. And I had all the mastered tracks by the beginning of April. And then about a week later, I couldn't get a hold of Ben. And unfortunately, he passed away in the middle of April, shortly after we did the record. And it was the last record he did, you know, and he had been at that studio almost 30 years, and recorded, I mean, numerous list of, you know, players. And so with that being said, he was the owner of the label. He had passed away, so the album was kind of in limbo. Plus, we couldn't tour, and the idea is to put an album out, tour behind it. So the album was kind of in limbo for about, you know, almost a year. And then Arnie Goodman, who's part of Cordo Valley Records, had introduced me to Mike Carden, who is one of the main guy over at Cordo Valley Records. And he really liked the album a lot. We talked. And so Cordo Valley Records signed me to a deal with their label and released the album just this past July 9th, 2021. So that's how it got released. And I felt really fortunate that Cordo Valley picked me up, especially during, you know, the really bad COVID times when there was not a lot of touring going on, you know. So I feel really blessed and lucky that they put the album out.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't got much of a chance, have you, to tour the album yet, Sean, since July, or have you? Have you got playing some gigs with it?
Yeah, we've done some CD release shows in Florida, and then in September 2021, we toured all the way up to Canada. We had about a 3.5, 4 week tour, and went through the Midwest and the North and Northeast, and then up into Canada for a few shows, and then back down to do, you know, a handful more shows, and came home. But it was kind of weird touring because every state we went to had different rules as far as, you know, maybe one place might have 50% capacity. You know, and the crowds that we're used to playing for, we played for about a third of the crowds that we would normally have before COVID.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a little weird. You know, a lot of the venues didn't have enough people working there. Some of the hotels didn't have, you know, housekeeping service. There was nobody working. It was a little bizarre, but we did go and tour behind the album. Yeah. And sales wise, it's doing pretty well, you know. So, but I'm really hoping that things in 2022 pick up and we get back out there sooner than later. You know, we're ready to get back out there and play.
And Sean, would you have any plans to maybe come over and see us in Europe as well? Maybe play a few gigs over here?
Yeah, we do. We have a tour lined up in Europe in October this year. It was actually set for last year, and it was set for 2020, and it's been moved back 2 years. So fingers crossed, you know, that it'll happen this year. And we may hopefully be coming over to Ireland and the UK as well. But we have about a dozen dates booked in Europe right now in October. So knock on wood, hopefully that'll happen. And hopefully we'll start coming over there more often. I mean, in 2020, we had 3 tours lined up. You know, like I said, we were supposed to go there in March after we did the album, and then again in July, and then again in October. And so it's just hard to believe that I haven't been over there overseas since 2019. It's just, you know, it's been 2 years. Just crazy to think, you know.
I suppose, you know, Sean, it's been difficult for every artist. It's been exceptional times that even in your own country, not maybe being able to tour as often as you like, but certainly international tours are getting, you know, to the likes of Europe if you're based in America, or indeed vice versa. European artists that want to tour the States, it's been next to impossible. But, you know, I think all of this will improve, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing you. Sean, you know, it's always a joy to speak to you because, you know, you have such a great heart. You love the music. You can hear it in every word you say, and I can't wait. We've never met face to face, but I'm certainly looking forward to that day and to watch you play live, because the world needs people like Sean Chambers. The world needs music at the minute. We need music to uplift us and raise our hearts, because we've been through a lot, and now's the time, you know, to turn it around. And you know, thanks Sean so much for taking the time to do this interview here, you know, with Musical Connections, because that's what this is about. This is about connecting artists like yourself with the listeners and the public out there, and even with venues and promoters and whatever, because we want to make this as vibrant as possible again, and I feel this is maybe a way to do it. And I want to say thanks so much. I also have to say thanks to my technical director here, Jesse Jackson, to put all this together. Without her, we wouldn't be speaking. So thanks, Jesse. But it's an absolute pleasure to speak with you, Sean. And as I say, we'll be having some clips up on this after now when we finish, and before the interview starts. And we certainly hope that lots of people look in, because when they listen to your catalogue and the quality of their music, I know they'll be hugely impressed. Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gerry, and thank you, Jesse, as well. And congratulations on the new venture with Musical Connections. And I wish you the best of luck, and hope to see you guys soon. And thank you so much for having me on.
It's our absolute pleasure.
Godspeed, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. Thank you so much.
So sweet, her legs are big, her looks can make you dance a jig. Her touch is so soft, her heart is warm. What knocks me out is your hidden charms. Her voice is so soft.